Hi, I'm Elizabeth Talbot, and this is Matthew Talbot, and we're with the Talbot Law Group in Walnut Creek, California, and we are a trust and estate law firm in the San Francisco East Bay. So today we wanted to talk about trust litigation, and the issue with trust litigation that we wanted to talk about is attorney fees. So attorney fees can be a big issue in a trust litigation because they can start to really add up if parties keep fighting and fighting. So I wanted to ask Matthew a little bit about how attorney fees can be minimized and a case can be resolved so that beneficiaries of a trust end up with their fair share of the trust and it doesn't end up going to attorneys, which we've definitely seen in the past with a number of law firms racking up extremely high bills and in the end being the real winners of a trust litigation, which is not something that you as a beneficiary want to happen.
So yes, today we're talking about these attorney's fees, which is always concerning for people. They want to know, what's it going to cost? I hear that over and over and over again. And unfortunately, the answer is often, I don't know. It depends on how much fighting and how much litigation there is. The advantage for the trustees are that they can use trust funds to retain an attorney. Otherwise, no one would really be a trustee because you're inviting litigation against yourself, but you have to pay out of your own pocket. So that can be very helpful because sometimes people come to me and they're sitting on $1 million or $2 million worth of trust assets, and they can use trust funds to pay those attorney fees. The problem for the beneficiaries, if they're litigating against a bad faith trustee, is that then the trustee defends themselves using the trust funds. And they have to pay not only for their own attorney, but in part for the attorney that is fighting against them. And that can be very frustrating for people. When you're looking for a lawyer, you want to try to look for a lawyer who's not going to run up the bills, if possible. You want to look for a lawyer who's going to get you to the end game, to the resolution, because otherwise it's just going to be a massive expense. And unless the trust is multi-million-dollar trust, which is not that common, then you'll just end up with a large percentage going to the attorneys and much smaller percentage going to the beneficiaries.
It seems like as far as when Matthew talks about the end game, that there's a lot of attorneys who may not see what the end game is for their clients and thus are not counseling them as to what their end game looks like. They're just sort of fueling the fire and fanning the flames of the anger and emotions that come up within families who are involved in a trust litigation. And thus they're really encouraging them to keep fighting and to keep spending money on attorney's fees when perhaps things could be resolved in such a way that the fighting could end, attorney fees could stop being paid, and everyone could move on with their lives.
That's correct. Sometimes it creates a sort of perverse conflict of interest. Because as I said, if the trustee is sitting on $1 million, $2 million trust, the attorney can just keep fighting, and every month send that bill, and every month the bill gets paid. So it's a circumstance where you want to try to avoid those attorneys. You want to try to find an attorney who's going to say, okay, at the end of this process, your best case scenario is XYZ. Your worst case scenario is XYZ here. Let's try to get something best possible and avoid a big litigation that's stressful and expensive. No one ever says, I want to enter into a very stressful and expensive part of my life. And for many people, trust litigation can be stressful. And it may be that you're in one right now, and you're looking for an attorney to help you just get out. And for a lot of people, the end game for trust litigation is just getting out of it. So you want to find an attorney who will get you to that point, who will not take action for their own financial benefit, and will focus merely on what's in the best interest of their client and the beneficiaries.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.